Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome along to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, where we're reflecting on... I didn't even mention the number of episodes we had now.
No, that's true.
I've ruined it by mentioning
I was just reflecting on the fact that Scottish footballers could never say that they were top of the group, really, could they?
Sorry.
A little cricket reference there with
I
regards to the T20 cricket. I liked you playing a little musical interlude during the news as well. That was very good.
Oh, thank you. I like to liven up the news where possible.
Once again, this will mean nothing to the people on the podcast. Sorry, people on the podcast. Hello, listeners on the podcast.
To be honest, it means very little to me. I wasn't paying too much attention to the news. The Scottish cricket, yes, I've got it now.
Yes, yeah.
And the musical interlude.
And the musical interlude. And the fact that the Scottish cricketers are now all saying, you'll never sing that. Top of the group, you'll never sing that, to Ali McCoist and various others. Anyway, welcome along. Hello, it's the Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Thank you so
Tom
much
and
for
Colin.
bringing all that up.
That's quite all right. Well, you know, it says in our trail, odd things from Bob, so I'm just getting in early with the odd things this week. But we have got
a future trail.
We have got a lot of normal things as well.
Oh, yes.
Including hearing from Gareth Ainsworth after the Yorkshire Odyssey that we took part in, beating Doncaster, or Doncaster, depending on your preference, and drawing away a very decent point away at Rotherham.
I was going to say any night, but definitely a Tuesday night to come away from Rotherham with a point, and the clean sheet continues as well.
Indeed, it was a defensive, gritty display, apparently, and yeah, they did rather well, I think, to come away with a point, considering that Rotherham were fifth. A bit of a shame that we've dropped down one. Slightly annoying that Plymouth and also Sunderland won. Be nice if Plymouth could start dropping a few points.
Because it looked like Oxford were doing us a favour early on, didn't it?
It did, yes.
Plymouth, they won it up.
Yeah, and then, it all went a bit wrong. But anyway, and we have Crewe this Saturday.
Crewe who?
Crewe who? Alexandra?
Yes, that's him.
And Scott Cashkett returning to Adams Park, which will be quite entertaining, but hopefully he's not got any plans for a last-minute winner or scoring another goal, as we used to sing.
But there will be fireworks.
There will be fireworks, yes.
Before and after kick-off, apparently.
Oh, very exciting. We like our fireworks.
Also, this week we'll be hearing from former midfielder Steve Thompson. I'll be hearing his memories, including news of a treatment table collapsing.
Ooh, and you've been speaking to Jason McCarthy as well.
I have, yeah, lots to look forward to this hour. But first, as Bob mentioned, we'll reflect on 2 games in Yorkshire. I think that's how they say it. I used to be much better at accents.
You can never mention a place without Colin then trying to do a bit of an impression of that place.
No, something similar happened early in the week with Plymouth. I did very badly with that.
I can well imagine, yes.
But yes, let's start with Donny.
Donny, yeah. 2-0 up after 17 minutes. That was quite good. If like me, you were probably thinking, it's a bit like Gillingham the previous week. Oh, it's going to be one of those weeks where we score 7 or 8 goals. It's, we're going to be on the Vidi printer where it's going to say actually the word of the amount of goals. And then, of course, we didn't score any more. So it was only 2 in the end. Because
I think we did say this last week as well, but it's so satisfying, isn't it, when you must be for the players and the manager as well, but to start a game with a goal inside the first 5 minutes and then to double that advantage as well.
Completely. Anthony Stewart scoring after 2 minutes for us, and then Akinfenwa scoring after 17. And brilliant. And Akinfenwa playing a whole hour. Obviously, Sam Vokes not being there because his wife was giving birth. Congratulations to the Vokeses.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, really, really good. Just excellent to go 2-0 up, as you say, so early on, and really it was pretty comfortable from there on in. And yeah, I think probably with one eye on Tuesday night, we didn't really necessarily have to exert ourselves anymore. But great to overcome what was clearly a potential banana skin, because Doncaster had actually done quite well in the last couple of games before they played us.
And as we touched on in the intro as well, and I'm sure we'll mention when looking back at Rotherham as well, but another clean sheet, which is fantastic to have such a great defensive display as well.
Stocko, yes, he's the whole defence suddenly now seems to be quite solid, really, doesn't it? And you can rely on them, which is what you want out of a defence.
I was going to say, we'll hear from Jason McCarthy as well, who says, that they're quite a settled back line now as well.
Yeah, and it's nice that in the last couple of games they do seem to now have eradicated the problem of allowing the opposition to score with about 15 minutes to go, meaning that obviously we all get a bit stressed towards the end.
Because you hear pundits, don't you, say, it's the best time to score just before half-time. But as mentioned in the Doncaster game and the previous week as well, I think scoring early is very good.
I think, scoring early is always good. And also, I think with regards to the half-time, I think actually scoring just after half-time is always quite good because actually it completely ruins the opposition's team talk, where, you can imagine the manager saying, right, come on. But 2 goals, as I say, after 17 minutes against a team like Doncaster where they are struggling, and you can imagine that actually their players probably were thinking, thinking at that time, oh, right, OK, we're not going to get anything out of this today.
Let's get the manager's thoughts post-Doncaster. Here he is chatting to Phil. Note contains humour.
Gareth, another 2-0 win, a clean sheet, and that young Adebayo Akinfenwa looks all right, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's not a bad player, is he? We might have to think about extending his contract, but no, I mean, complete performance for me. Again, very similar to last week. We started out the traps like you wouldn't believe. The system would play sometimes, and what we saw in the week, analysis-wise, Josh Hart again doing a cracking job on how we could break this team down. We saw some weaknesses and we exploited them, but at a risk of leaving ourselves open a little bit. But once we get ahead, we saw the game out fantastically well. A change of formation midway into the second half was always the plan. When Bale comes off, we change formation to soak up pressure and soak up possession. So the possession stats will be in Doncaster's favour. That doesn't worry me one slight bit, because I think shots on target was restricted maybe to one chance. I think they crossed by first half, but one real chance that David Stockdale had to, everything else was sort of a P-roller into him. There was no threat, we didn't feel, for big periods of that second half, and we always felt like we had the ability to break and score another one. Almost did, but it's going to be about picking the boys up now and getting those legs ready for Tuesday, because we've got a big trip to Rotherham, and I want to make sure that we are very competitive in that game.
4 wins on the bounce now, and you're staying up here for a few days, and the squad must be buzzing with the recent form and to spend some time together. Yeah,
Rob Couhig has been very generous, and the Couhig family allowing us to stay up and prepare right for these games, and it's the right thing to do. We want to be a championship standard club, and if we can manage to get that on the pitch as well, I mean, it's amazing, to have the backers like that. It's some things we've never been able to do before, as well as bring the players in that I've brought in, Sully Kai, Jack Grimmer, Anis Mehmete, Sam Vokes didn't even get on the pitch today, but all 4 of those, and Adam Prisbeck, I want to leave him out, all 4 of those will be right behind the boys. They'll be so pleased. I know what it's like as a player, if you don't contribute, you feel like you haven't took part. They take part, they're in there. I thought the subs made a difference when we needed some energy, and they're all going to be needed in these coming weeks. So I've got a real good group, and I keep saying it. I'm so proud, that there's emotion on that touchline going through me that you wouldn't believe sometimes, with somebody closing down, like David Wheeler, Jordan Beater, people like that in the second half to keep this ball away, keep it at the other end of the pitch. Just awesome to see, and the fans as well. They turned up in good numbers today and got right behind us, kept cheering, kept singing throughout. I asked for 4 wins after MK Dons. I looked at the fixtures and thought we potentially could win all 4 of these, and even the eternal optimist here would have taken 9 or 10 points, but the boys have delivered. I can't thank them enough, and they deserve all the plaudits they get.
You alluded to the extra resource you've got now with the Couhigs after that season in the Championship. How's the transition been from being Gareth Ainsworth with nothing at his disposal to now having a bit of a target on your back, with Wycombe being fancied and having to manage a big squad and players and keeping everybody happy? How's that transition been?
As long as you keep all of your values that you had when you had nothing. And that's an obvious thing, and it sounds like a Hollywood film quote, but if you can keep your values when you had nothing, I think that's really important, and we really have done, and I have, and I always will. I mean, it's tough where I grew up, and to have this now, I'm very grateful, and we'll never take it for granted. I think that's the thing, not that you expect it, that it's a bonus, and if we can keep thinking like that, and the boys can keep having this attitude of our base is hard work, our base values is humility, we're in a good place, and I want the fans to be proud of their club, because we're keeping hold of these values, because we were all together when we had nothing. Now we have things. Rob and Pete are super people getting behind us, and hopefully we can pay back their faith as much as anyone else is by achieving this year.
Really pleased to hear from Gareth, who's really pleased with literally everyone.
Yes, yeah, and I very much like the fact that there were still people chanting in the background.
They were well up for it, weren't they?
It's like, well, hang on, the game's finished. Well, exactly.
Everyone's gone home.
What are you still doing there?
Missed the bus back, may as well enjoy the rest of the evening.
And we keep hearing how we are now a championship club in everything other than actually status, so it's really good to hear that actually the team stayed over in Yorkshire. She did wonder, well, yeah, okay, is it worth them coming all the way back from Donny to then face Rotherham on the Tuesday night? And clearly other clubs would have, big clubs would have thought, right, okay, well actually, yeah, we'll have a few away days, we'll set up a camp in Yorkshire, and that's what we did. And you think, oh great, and many thanks, yes, to the Couhig family, because clearly we wouldn't have been able to afford that in the pre-Couhig days.
Because I think Gareth mentioned it, that it really must enhance the preparations if you can do that as well, not have to travel back and travel up.
And I would think just as well a really good morale booster.
No, definitely.
It must be nice, all being away. You can imagine that. Yes, I would imagine that they had various sort of like team building type things and team bonding things, and those can only help.
Yorkshire puddings
as well.
Yorkshire tea, there's all there. But yeah, moving on to Rotherham, and no goals, unfortunately, but none conceded either, which is
no. So Ryan Tafazoli coming quite close with a header, but really the game had not many chances.
Quite a battling display, as we mentioned.
Very battling, yeah, on a chilly night up in Rotherham. And fantastic, brilliant that we managed to get a point up there, because if Doncaster was a bit of a banana skin, then this clearly was far more danger than that, considering that Rotherham are fifth. And as we've already said, just a shame that Plymouth and Sunderland then both won, so that Sunderland went above us. So we're currently third, and Sunderland have a game in hand as well. Wigan are below us as well, having a game in hand, but we do still have a game in hand over Plymouth. So
tight at the top.
Yeah, indeed it is.
But yes, quite tight at the bottom as well, but more on that later, because Crewe, of course, we played Doncaster, who are a bottom, and then Crewe coming up, who are second from bottom, have only won once in League One. But more to come on that. Let's get Gareth's thoughts once again, speaking to Phil after the Tuesday night in Rotherham.
It's very similar styles, like to get the ball forward. Big man all over the park, and I thought that the boys were superb, absolutely brilliant. They ain't going to be tested as tough as that. With the physical aspect, with the pressure that Rotherham put on us second half. I'm not going to be, totally rose-tinted glasses and say we didn't take some pressure. Of course we did, but first half we had the better chances, and we could have converted a couple, which would have been nice. A great game, a really good game, and tactically we had to be on it today. Some real huge performances, and I think the baseline now, that 3 clean sheets. We've played a lot of the big teams away from home already as well. I'm really excited for the season. It's a proud one, that one tonight, and a tough place. There won't be many teams come here and go away with a draw or a win. We're definitely one of them.
Dominic Gate back in midfield, first start as well. How do you think he got on tonight?
Superb, as everyone was. He cramps up at the end, which he's like to be. It's his first start for a while. And Curtis, the battling that Curtis Thompson does, wow, you see him on Saturday and looked a little bit leggy. So to be able to change, bringing Dominic Gape in the side, wow, and people like Darragh Horgan into the side, Sam Volks into the side. These are names that would walk into teams in this league, and then Sully Kaikai getting minutes, Brandon Hanlon coming on another handful, so we have depth, feel for Anis and Jack, really, them, the two who haven't really featured this weekend, but they're going to play a huge part as well. They're 2 household names in this division, so the result was really important tonight, not to get beat, and we've established that by hook or by crook. We did well tonight, and I'm really, really pleased with another clean sheet, a solid base to build from, and tough place to go.
You had to ride a storm in the second half, but the injury time, and there was lots of it, Wycombe finished stronger, and that must have pleased you from a fitness point of view after 2 tough away days.
Listen, teams have their moments. Whatever team you play, no matter who you play, look at us at Man City. We had our moments. We had that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes, not much more away at City, but we did have a little bit. Teams will have moments, no matter where you are, home or away, they'll have moments, and it's about standing up to these moments. And I think they had a good 20 minutes where they were shelling balls in. We couldn't get out off a half. The squeeze wasn't getting there because the balls were coming back in, and that's Rotherham. That's what you've got to put up with. And I think they're a great team. I think they've got a great manager, and I think if you're near at Rotherham at the end of the season, I will replay the comment to Paul Warren. He said this about Wycombe. You'll be up and around it, because they're a good side. Really, really pleased, and like I say, picking the boys up now for Crewe on Saturday, which is a game that at home I want to be winning.
Must be looking forward to getting back to Adams Park after setting the Football League era home wins record. Looking to add to that?
Yeah, of course. It'd be great to every time we win at home, we're going to break a record, which is brilliant for the boys. But we are not going to be carried away. We're not going to get above ourselves. Humility is our biggest trait, and it always will be while I'm at this club. And I'm really, really proud of the efforts, not just the boys. The physio team have worked tirelessly today. Kian and Isaac and Ali back at the training ground, they've worked tirelessly to get these boys fit and get them, and David Waits and Ben Sayers, the sports science department, just the fitness at the end there was fantastic. So they need name checking there. They've been great for me, and I can't thank them enough for giving me a brilliant set of boys to pick from. My choice to pick, and that's tough sometimes, but having everyone fit, having everyone running towards the end, and like you say, finishing probably a little bit stronger than Rotherham, it's brilliant to see. But a point's what we take away. Really, really proud of that. We've took 6, I think, in the last 2 times we've been here, so we can't be greedy. Point will do. It adds to our tally for League One.
And 5 days up in Yorkshire for 2 games. How's that been? And a new sensation for you as Wycombe manager, having the resource to stay up.
I'm a Lancashire lad, you know. You're saying 5 days in Yorkshire. I'm only joking. It's a lovely county. It's up north, and that's all that matters to me. You know, you see, you know, the hills and the valleys and everything. And honestly, it was brilliant. It really was. It's a breath of fresh air, literally, because I love being up north in the country. And like I say, it's really good of Rob Courig and Pete Courig to put up the funds for us to stay in the hotels and in the places, and it's been great. You know, as I say, there's a lot worse counties than Yorkshire, believe me. I'm really happy to stay up there, but we'll get back to Buckinghamshire now, get the boys prepared for what will be a tough game on Saturday against Crewe Alexandra, and then we've got a week to regroup, refresh, and I think there's another mad run of games coming up, but really proud of it.
Gareth Ainsworth there from the Yorkshire Tourist Board.
Surely, Phil, the next question was, which counties are worse than Yorkshire? Because we're now all wondering.
There might be lots, mightn't there?
Can Gareth, maybe he'll come up with one of those like lists of, you know, of rubbish places
like
that
rough
they
guides.
Occasionally, exactly, that they occasionally mention like on the news, you know.
These are some of the worst places that I've been to.
Rutland has been named the worst county in Gareth Ainsworth's county survey.
Despite being in the north.
And sort of being a well-known football manager, he also goes round and rates the counties of England.
There's an ITV4 documentary on that.
Definitely, absolutely, yeah.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from Steve Thompson in a few moments' time. We'll be catching up with current midfielder. No, he's not a midfielder, is he? Or is he?
Defensive midfielder.
Jason McCarthy. And we'll be looking ahead to the visit of Crewe. Wing back is definitely a thing.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's Wycombe Wanderers Show, we will be hearing from, is he a wing-back, is he the defensive midfielder? It's Jason McCarthy. We will also be reviewing how Wycombe Wanderers women got on at the weekend as well.
It was almost rehearsed that bit. I think that was quite good.
Yeah, I was slightly put off because you were air guitaring to the jingle before we came back.
You've got to enjoy the jingle. But first, many thanks, and of course, as always, to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, who've announced that their thank you, big thank you to them, who've announced that their dinner is now in the spring. It was due to be in November.
Oh, okay.
But looking forward.
Are they going to still do it as if it's November? Like they're going to bring some conkers along and stuff?
Genuinely don't know how to answer that question.
Some fireworks,
maybe,
because we're good at fireworks at Adams Park.
Might have some left over by then.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, yes, but this week in our ex-player slot, if that's a thing, we've been catching up with Steve Thompson, who I'm sure you'll remember being a fantastic midfielder in the early 90s under Martin O'Neill, and we've been finding out how he became a Wycombe Wanderer.
I was living in Ruislip. I was in the Air Force at the time, playing for Slough, and John Reardon and Martin O'Neill came round to my house in the summer of I think it was 91, and I spoke to them, and obviously I was in awe a bit of Martin with what he'd done in the European Cup and for all his career for Nottingham Forest. And they came round. They tried to sign me that summer in 91, but for some reason in the end, I stayed with Slough. I was still sort of with them, and I stayed for another 6 months. And it wasn't until the January that I eventually left and joined Wycombe, and should have done it 6 months earlier, really.
That must be a bit special as well, so because obviously a lot of players at that time were kind of part-time and have other jobs, obviously, but being in the RAF must have been a bit special too. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it, and working in London allowed me to to mix, playing for the Air Force with playing for Wycombe, until obviously I came out of the Air Force 2 or 3 years later. But yeah, I enjoyed my time in the Air Force, and I was lucky enough that some of the people high up in where people are posted managed to get me around to the London area. I mean, I could have been over in Germany or somewhere in the back of nowhere, So I was lucky in that respect.
And you speak to former players, and you really get the sense that the time that they were at the club was really special. But obviously, that the period that you were there as well must have felt pretty special too.
Oh yeah, it's without doubt it was my best. I think it's 3.5 years. I spent 3.5, 4 years, without doubt, my best 3.5, 4 years in football. We won things. I played in a brilliant team with brilliant players, brilliant manager, and brilliant people at the club. I've only nothing but brilliant memories of my time at Wycombe Wanderers.
And obviously, scoring at Wembley must have been real highlights for you as well.
Yeah, I managed to do that on both occasions. I played there for Wycombe Wanderers. Runcorn 4-1 in the trophy final, which surprised everyone because I scored a header. And then in Preston in the League Two playoff, where I got the equaliser after they'd gone 1-0 up. Yeah, so yeah, great memories of Wembley, but great memories of the whole 4 years at Wycombe.
I was going to say, were there any other sort of games or moments or goals that particularly stood out for you?
Well, those two definitely stood out, the two at Wembley. Not goal scoring, but the semi-final win at Sutton, when we'd been beaten in the home leg of the FA Trophy, and we went to Sutton and absolutely destroyed them 4-0. I think Matty Crossley even scored a couple of goals that day. And we were celebrating, and what a celebration in the changing rooms. You've probably heard the story, but the physio table collapsed underneath the weight of players celebrating. And I was quite fortunate that no one got injured for the final, actually, with underneath it. So, yeah, great moments and very enjoyable.
It's such a sort of key time, isn't it, in the club's history and getting promotion to the Football League, and as you say, in the FA Trophy and those other playoff finals as well. It must be such a great sense of pride to be involved in that time. Yeah, it was. I mean, getting in the team first, that was the thing you had to do, because you had such a good squad of players there. And everyone, if someone went out, someone came in and did brilliant. I remember when I first signed, actually, I think Steve Guppy had an injury, so they put me in Gups' position for the first 4 or 5 games until he was back fit, and then I moved inside to my more normal position in centre midfield. So, yeah, everyone would fill in for each other, and everyone was great friends as well, probably the greatest social time in football as well, because we played hard and we played well, but we also liked to have a good time as well. And it was, fantastic days. It's great to hear the sort of camaraderie and the sort of behind the scenes kind of stories as well, because obviously as fans you're watching the games, cheering the players on, but you don't get to know sort of what goes on sort of behind the scenes so much. And as I say, it must have been such a special time, especially playing under Martin O'Neill. Yeah, it was. It was great, and it seemed every week we went in there was a bigger crowd there the week after. It was. Crowds just kept growing, and the atmosphere inside the ground was fantastic. I remember one game we played, I think it was Slough we played at home, and you just thought, well, it's a league game. Slough were going quite well. They were up at about 5th, and I think we were at the top, and there were people up in the woods above where the I won't say new stand because it's been there quite a while now, but where the large stand is now on the other side from the changing rooms, there were people watching that from up in the woods because they couldn't get in. It was just fantastic atmosphere. It must have made it a bit more special as well, because obviously Adams Park was only quite new itself at the time. Yeah, I'm not sure how new it was when I moved, but I knew it was relatively new. I don't think I'd ever had the privilege of playing at the old Wycombe ground, but yeah, I knew it was reasonably new, and it was a great ground made ready for non-league, and obviously the improvements that they've done since they've been a league club has been fantastic. And you've already touched on it a bit, but I mean, it must be so great to have played with such a great group of players that you, whilst you were at the club as well, that especially in the sort of obviously midfield, in all positions, to be honest. Yeah, wonderful players. You go through the names of Dave Carroll, Steve Guppy, Keith Scott, Jason Cousins, Matt Crosley, Clint Creaser, Terry Evans, Simon Stapleton, Keith Ryan,
And I could go on and name another 10 as well, and all great players and all great lads as well. And like I said, the camaraderie, no one should ever underestimate. We did have good players, but the camaraderie meant that no one else had a chance. And I think we won the league by so many points, didn't we, that year that we won the conference.
I was going to say, it must have felt like literally the whole town was behind you as well. And as you say, when you're at Wembley as well, such a great following there too. Yeah,
going to Preston, and there was, Preston are a big club. Going to Wembley to play Preston, and you looked out and there were as many Wycombe Wanderers fans there as there were Preston North End fans, and to play against, I think, one of the founder members of the Football League, I think they may be, and to play against them and match them with crowd and match them on the pitch, more than match them on the pitch, was wonderful, and probably, the best single moment of my 4 years at the club.
And strange to think, obviously, that David Moyes was in the team then, and obviously the current Wycombe manager now as well.
Yeah, David and Gareth. Gareth played, didn't he? I don't think David enjoyed that game. Obviously, he's gone on to have an amazing career, but he wouldn't have enjoyed that game. I know that Simon Garner playing up top and us raiding from midfield from everywhere, Dave Carroll, Gups, everyone. It was a hard day for Preston that day, and we were deserved winners.
I mean, what's your overall kind of feeling of your time at the club? Because you must look back on it really fondly.
Yeah. I loved every moment at Wycombe. I was very sad to leave, and felt I should have stayed for another year, but it was sort of made impossible for me by the new manager that came in at the time, who changed things around. But yeah, the 4 years at the club, I've nothing but fond memories of that time.
A fantastic career overall as well. You're a semi-professional international. That must have been a fantastic privilege as well.
Yeah. I got the one game. We played Wales, and it was great. My dad came up to watch. It was a proud moment for the family, for me to represent my country. I even got man of the match that day. I shouldn't say, but got man of the match that day. So everything went well. Obviously, we couldn't play any more games with Wycombe players because we went up into the league that year. So the year after, we were all banned from playing because we were league players then.
Of course. And obviously, after your time at Wycombe, you went on to have a still fantastic career and also into management as well.
Yeah, I joined Woking. I didn't know what, by the time I left Wycombe, I was 32 and joined Woking. Didn't know what lay ahead really, because they were a conference club. But we had a great run. We came second in the league. We were hoping that we would go up as well, and I would do that again as I'd done at Wycombe, because Stevenage won the league but weren't allowed up with their ground. But unfortunately, in those days, it was a bit of a closed shop. They didn't let the team that comes second go in. And another trophy final as well. I didn't manage to score in that one, but we did win it. So really, really feel privileged to have played 3 times at the old Wembley and won 3 times. And
how did management compare? How's it being sort of on the other side, if you like?
Yeah, well, most of my time, that when I joined Yeovil, I became the assistant manager, and I served as assistant manager to 4 or 5 different managers, and then managed also for one season in League One. We finished 15th in League One that year, so I enjoyed it. It's tough. There's a lot more pressure on you as a person, as a manager, but to manage for 1 year in League One and then be number 2 or assistant manager, first team coach, to 4 or 5 over the other 9 or 10 years in the conference and the Football League was, it gives you a more general insight into football from the other side, not just playing.
And I'm sure fans would be keen to know what you're doing these days.
I'm doing a little bit of work with the college team down at Weymouth College, the football team there. So I go in 2 days a week and do the practical stuff with them. And I'm also doing a driving job as well for a company. So I combine the two really, driving and coaching. And are you still in touch with any of your ex-teammates from your Wycombe days? Yes, I've gone to a few of the reunions that have been held up at the ground. I think the last one was about 4 years ago. we all met up. There was numerous players there. Terry Evans, Keith Ryan, Keith Scott, Jason Cousins, lots of people there, Dave Carroll. So, yeah, Steve Guppy. It was great to meet up with all of them again. And hopefully we can do that again soon. Obviously, it's been a bit difficult in the last couple of years because we were sort of doing that every 3 or 4 years. But I think it's time we met up again.
No, definitely. It must be so fantastic to have had those sort of shared experiences as well.
Yeah, to talk about the old times and also, Wycombe have done great as well since those old times. I went and watched them at Villa Park in the FA Cup semi-final against Liverpool. So, Wycombe have had some good times as well in the league since then. So yeah, it's great to be associated with the club. And I'm just really thankful that I signed in the end, even though it was 6 months later than I should have done. And that I got to meet such, great players and great people.
And did you think when Wycombe got to the playoff final and got through to the Championship, that must have really sort of reignited your memories of playing at Wembley yourself? Yeah,
it certainly did. And, it would have been nice. I think, obviously, with the COVID, it was pretty much impossible, but it would have been nice to go and watch a Championship game. But hopefully we can do that next season because they're flying high this year and hopefully be back and able to do that next season.
No, definitely. And do you feel a real sense that, you've kind of contributed to Wycombe's history and kind of where they are now is something that you kind of helped to build, if you like, in that way?
Yeah, I think people will look upon that team in the early 90s as a team that really started off the push from Wycombe being a non-league club to what they are now, a league club, and who's been a league club and consolidated well and are a very good league club, run well, and I think people will remember that team as maybe the start of that sort of rising up to those standards.
Because I guess, especially for younger fans, it must be quite tricky to kind of even comprehend that the players weren't even full-time at one point. It doesn't feel like that long ago. No.
In fact, my first year, obviously, I couldn't get out of the Air Force straight away. But my first year, I was training with the boys, who obviously went full-time in League Two. And I had to come in when I could. So luckily, my job allowed me to stay fit as a fitness instructor in the Air Force, really, But it was great. It was great. It was great as a non-league club, and it was fantastic those 2 years that I spent there in the league as well. And we very nearly, I think we just missed out on the playoffs from League One, and managed to sign people that I'd watched on TV as, over the previous years, people like Cyril Regis and Nicky Reed from Man City and then Blackburn.
Did you really get a sense of progression while you're at the club as well? You could really feel, the team making great strides.
Yeah. We got up pretty quickly. I think maybe the first year from League Two in that playoff final, and then League One. Like I said, that first year in League One, I think we finished 7th, and I think at the time the playoffs were on, and obviously it was the 3rd, 4th, and 5th and 6th that made the playoffs. So we were very close to getting a shot at going into the Championship back in '94.
I was going to say, it feels like such a long time ago, but at the same time, not that long ago as well.
Yeah, well, a lot has happened since then for me, but that's. I remember lots of the moments very vividly. Really, going to Orient and playing and just missing out. I think when we played Orient on getting into the playoffs, into the Championship. So yeah, it is a long time ago, isn't it? Was it 26 years now?
Yeah, sure. But as I say, just touch on going to the playoff final and obviously the FA Trophy as well. And it must be such a great feeling knowing you had the support. Most of the town went, and it felt like such a great occasion. Yeah,
I mean, when we came back after the playoff final and the trophy final, the victory parades were fantastic. And of course, Ivor, the chairman then, used to keep us all up in the hotel there that he had, and really great memories. Like I said, my 3-4 years at Wycombe were without doubt my best and most enjoyable 4 years in football, and I've had a good career in terms of football. So that was probably the top, the very top.
Well, it's been fantastic to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your memories as well.
Thank you. And I'd like to just say, finally, I wish Glyn Creaser a fantastic recovery. I know, that he had the heart problem at a game, and it's just so great that he's back and sending messages on WhatsApp, and his sense of humour after what's happened is I'm privileged to know him as a friend and as a person.
No, fantastic. Echoed by all of us here. In fact, our very first show, when we spoke to an ex-player, we chatted to him. So he was our first ex-player we had on. So no, it's really, really great to hear that he's doing well. Great man,
and a very underestimated player. Great player too.
Really nice to hear from Steve Thompson, and lovely words there about
really
Chris
nice.
as well, who obviously we wish all the best to you, and Len Worley as well, who's recovering.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Very nice.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that. That was really good and fascinating as well. And I'm always surprised to hear about Martin O'Neill approaching players who have other careers, and you just don't expect it. But of course, yes, Martin O'Neill was with us when we were non-league and when people did other things as well as playing football. But you can't really imagine it now.
No, exactly. Or when he was in charge at Leicester, going up to Robbie Savage.
Yes. I went along to this painter and decorator, Robbie Savage, and said, do you fancy going and playing?
Turn you into a star. Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers show, we'll be hearing from Jason McCarthy and finding out about his new position. Is he originally a midfielder, or have I made that up?
Possibly.
Oh, okay.
But he likes playing in defence as well. He used to be a rush goalie at school, apparently.
You've made that up, haven't you?
Yes.
And we'll be bringing you up to date with how Wycombe Wanderers women are getting on here at Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers show, we will be hearing from, is he a midfielder, is he a defender, Jason McCarthy, and we will also have a preview of the Crew game. Not the Crew.
A preview of the Crew.
The Crew.
Motley Crew.
Not the Columbus Crew.
The Rocksteady Crew?
No, not them either. Whatever happened to the Rocksteady Crew? They only had one hit. But everybody remembers it, of a certain age.
Yes, I think you have to even get that reference at all.
Indeed. And we're going to talk about Wycombe Wanderers women as well.
Yes, much to fit in.
Do you want me to do that now?
Go on then.
Okay, so not good news for Wycombe Wanderers women, I'm afraid. So they lost 4-0 in the Bucks and Barks FA Cup on Sunday. But at the same time, Chesham are good and are actually in the division, at least one division above Wycombe Wanderers women. But they take part now in the FA Cup proper, which I believe is the third qualifying round of the Women's FA Cup. When they play Herne Bay this Sunday, they are away. 2 o'clock kick-off at the county ground. I'm not quite sure which county ground that is, but that's what it says here on the FA website.
Great work. Some sad news to bring you as well, that former Wycombe Wanderers player Billy Gallagher, who played for the Wanderers in the early 60s, just for one season between, I think it was 63 and 64, has sadly passed away in the last couple of days. Obviously, our condolences to Billy and his family.
And he's very well known in the Wycombe area, isn't he? Particularly of people of a certain age.
Definitely. And also, you might be more aware of the name from his Elvis impersonations with his group Billy and the Bonkers, and raised loads of money for Scan Appeal as well. So did some great work in the community, and also obviously represented the club as well. So obviously our condolences, we say, to Billy, his family, and also to the where am I going with this? To anyone else obviously connected with Billy as well. So some sad news there to bring you. Now though, we'll look ahead to the game against Crewe, but also a bit of a look back as well with what happened at Doncaster and Rotherham, with someone who played in both of those games and contributed greatly to the fantastic defensive display, unbeaten and not conceded a goal, I think, in 300 minutes.
Wow, that's very impressive.
I saw written down. Spoke to Jason.
You'd want to have our back four in a fantasy league, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And Stocko as well.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't Stocko you spoke to. It was the J-Mac, Jason McCarthy.
We're looking good. Like you said, especially defensively, I think we've had like a settled back five and like the two holding midfield players as well, and I think that's really helped. And obviously Stocko in the net, and Yeah, we've just felt that the last few games really tighten up. I think after the Morecambe game, where it was obviously end-to-end and a great game, but I think that probably highlighted a few areas we needed to just touch up on. And I think since then we've looked really strong defensively, so we want to keep that going. And obviously the form with the results is great, but obviously it's all performance based as well here. So we focus on the performance first, and the result normally then takes care of itself.
Must have been especially pleasing though to have come away from 4 points from these last two games, because Doncaster obviously scrapping away at the bottom, and Rotherham, as you found on Tuesday, scrapping away near the top. Yeah,
exactly. That was kind of our aim, like going into these two games. Of course, you want to win every game, going for promotion, but we knew that Rotherham and Doncaster are both two really good sides and pose different threats, so we had to respect both of them. And to be fair, Tuesday night was a really tough game, probably the toughest game I've played in so far this season. So to come away with a point and a clean sheet, I think it's brilliant, and it keeps the momentum going, as you were saying earlier. And we stayed up there, so it was a really good round trip in the end.
It must feel so different as well to the opening 12 games of last season too.
Of course, yeah, completely. It was like completely different. We were there was a lot of discovery last year with a lot of the squad who hadn't been in the Championship before and stuff, and this season I think we really got the know-how and the experience, and I'd even go as far to say I feel like our squad is stronger this season, and we're just really confident going into every game, and we're not arrogant, we've got that humility, we've got that humbleness as well, but we're very confident going into every game with the squad we've got.
As you say, it feels like there's such a strength in depth at the squad, in the squad now, which is something which I guess you've not really had for a while, and it really feels like that the new signings have settled in well too. Yeah, definitely. Like the other night, obviously Gapey coming in and Horgy coming back in. We're never weaker when the gaffer decides to make a couple of changes or whatever. We're never weaker. We look at our bench every week and it's so strong. Even maybe sometimes a couple players missing out, and we're in a really, really good place in terms of our squad depth and quality. It's the best it's been since I've been here. So, yeah, we're in a really good place. Like you said, all the new signings have settled in really, really well as well, which is great, which you'd expect to in an environment like this. And another real plus seems to be the adaptability of the team. We've spoken to their manager recently, and he said, in certain games, if he's felt there needs to be a change at half-time, for example, in formation or style of play, that's something that you can sort of adapt to really quickly too. Yeah, exactly. I mean, since I've been here, I think we've played like every single formation now, so in one way or another. So we're obviously really enjoying the three at the back at the moment, and I think that's been a real success for us. Even if you look at the back end of last season, but it's just good that in games, if we need to change and if we need to adapt to the opposition, we can do, and we've got the experience and the know-how and quality to do that. So, yeah. And as we talked about the unbeaten run, and especially at home with those 7 league wins in a row, hopefully something we can add to at the weekend, that must have been brought about a real good feeling in training as well. Yeah, definitely. We're loving playing at home at the moment. I think we all speak about it as well in the dressing room. And it's been kind of annoying because we've had loads of away games, and I think we're like a couple down at home in terms of we've played a lot more away. So we're looking forward to being back at home on Saturday, and we feel like we've got the real backing of the fans behind us, and there's a real good vibe and positivity around the whole club, and we feel that when we're at Adams Park. So we thrive off that, and we want to keep the run going. We want this to be a real fortress this season. If you look at teams that have got promoted out this league who have maybe gone unbeaten at home or lost just 1 or 2 at home all season, and we want that here, and we want this to be a real fortress. And Crewe have only won once in the league this season. Does that make them more dangerous in a way? Well, every game in this league, you can't underestimate anyone. Every game is a different challenge. And, of course, we'll show Crewe the utmost respect. They've got a very good squad. They've got a great player in Scott Cashkett, who we're going to have to be aware of as well. But, like I said, we're confident. We focus on ourselves, and we'll show Crewe the respect they deserve. But on Saturday, we'll be going for 3 points. And you mentioned the home support. It does feel like attendances are starting to grow, and people are starting to get a lot more behind their team as the sort of that run continues. Yeah, definitely. The support has been incredible this season. I was blown away with the people that came to Doncaster and to Rotherham. It's a big round trip, that.
especially on the Tuesday night. So the fans have been incredible this season, and I'm just feel so blessed to be at a club that got great fans, and I've got a really good personal affiliation with the fans. So it's great, and I think, like you said, this season there's been such positivity and the connection between everyone around the club, to the fans, the staff, the players, and everyone's thriving off that. And if we can just keep that going and keep that mood and that spirit going, then there's no reason that this season we can't be really successful. And the fans are playing a massive, massive part in that.
And are you really pleased with your own game and your own running the team?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying it. I think this wing-back role it suits me perfectly. I think it's where I've played my best football in my career, even at other clubs. I think at wing-back, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I think me and Jordan are really suited to them roles. Him on the other side too. And I'm really enjoying it. I've enjoyed the back end of last season, and I'm really enjoying the start of this season. I'm running the team, and I love it here. I think that's no secret. I think everyone knows that. The gaffer here and Dobbo have got the best out of me. I think I've operated best here under Dobbo and under the gaffer, and my family are really settled here, and I love it. I love this club. I feel like like people have mentioned before, I've gone away and maybe tried to do things in the Championship at other clubs, but I really want to be part of this like machine here that's driving this club to get to the Championship, and I want to be part of that. And I've learnt my lesson, so to speak, and I'm really, really enjoying my football. And haven't you recently become a dad as well? Yeah, I've got two. I've got two children. So I've got a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. So I've got my work cut out. So yeah, a real handful for him.
That sounded like a brave question, because it sounded like you weren't quite sure. And if he'd said no, that would have been slightly awkward.
Yes, well, it's a pre-recorded interview, so if he'd have said no, that would have been it.
But you wouldn't have actually put it in. But with regards to he makes it sound like Hotel California.
Yes.
The way that he sort of says, you can never actually leave Wycombe Wanderers. He's one of those ones that comes back. So nice to hear that he is enjoying it, and as his new wing-back position, but perhaps not that new now. No, he does sound. As I say, you can just tell from some of these players, and particularly the ones that have come back to Wycombe a couple of times. Clearly, we do something right, and we make players feel very comfortable, and that's how surely you get the best out of them. And really interesting as well that he picked up just the fact that they don't necessarily assess a game on results, but also the performance as well is what they look at. Yeah, which is really interesting, isn't it? And it's the sort of thing that you regularly hear in friendlies, and you think, well, maybe in the Pizza Leyland Daft Cup that might be the case, but really interesting to hear that actually, for us in the league as well, that they still look back at the things that went well, and you would assume, particularly in, say, a game against Doncaster or against Gillingham, actually the things that didn't go quite so well, because clearly when you've got the result in the bag, so that's okay, so actually let's look at where we can improve. And you definitely get the sense as well, as the managers mentioned it, players have mentioned it, the strength and depth in the squad, that the fact they can rotate, the fact that they can play different formations and different styles against different opponents. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. The fact that we can change change what's going on in the middle of a game, which again I think previous Wycombe teams possibly couldn't, because really we only had 11 players and maybe they very much had defined roles, whereas now the fact that we're talking about Jason McCarthy as being, is he a defender, is he a midfielder, and you could say that again about somebody like Jordan Abita, of course, even JJ possibly with his occasionally running and crossing the ball in. We've got so many versatile players in our squad, which is just wonderful, and the fact that we're able to say squad rather than team is brilliant. Absolutely. And we heard Gareth mention a little earlier on as well, it does feel like at the moment we had some quite big teams away, and now we've got some lower down in the table, with all due respect to them, teams coming up at home. I think what's really good about when you look at the bottom of the table at the moment is that you then see actually some of the sides that are down there that we've already beaten, and you think, well, again, that's the sign of a side that actually is hopefully going to at least to finish in the playoffs. So currently you've got Shrewsbury, Charlton and Doncaster down there, and obviously we've beaten all of those, and hopefully we can add the name of Crewe Alexandra to that on Saturday. Quite surprising to see Fleetwood down there, and then obviously Morecambe and Gillingham, who we have already beaten. And also Portsmouth in 17th, which again is a bit of a surprise.
And they beat who were at the time obviously league leaders Sunderland 4-0.
Yeah, I know. We did.
And then they've
touched on
lost
that,
heavily.
didn't we?
Yeah, they've lost heavily themselves.
It is a funny old division, isn't it? In the way that people used to talk about the Championship, and still do. But I would say that actually the Championship does seem to be becoming a little bit more like the Premier League, in that the teams that come down do look quite likely to go back up. Whereas in League One, it's anybody's guess, isn't it?
Well, I've read an interesting article recently, and it's just obviously stating the obvious, but 8 former top flight teams are in League One.
Oh, wow, yes, okay. Do you want to name them?
I was going to say there's a quiz question. 8.
Come on then.
Oh, a bit on the spot.
Are they?
Sheffield Wednesday.
Yes, okay.
This is tricky now, isn't it? Sunderland.
Yep.
Portsmouth.
Yep.
Wigan.
Yes, very good. I was looking at that one thinking, oh, that's quite tricky. Okay. Bobby Robson.
Ipswich.
Yep.
Thank you. Of course. And
the club that Sam Allardyce seemed to be at forever.
Bolton.
Yep.
Of course, I forgot Bolton. How many am I up to now? That's 5, isn't it?
Nigel Adkins has just left them, surprisingly.
Charlton, of course.
Yep.
6? Is that 6?
We must be getting there now. I've sort of like lost count, which is a bit silly. Yeah, I think you've got them all.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. What do I win?
You win tickets to whatever we're giving away on the station at the moment. I can't remember what that is. What is it?
Do you mean tickets to Nina Conti at Wycombe Swan?
That's the person, yes.
On the 9th of November?
Yes.
Yes.
That's not anything to do with football at all.
No. Like, it's a prize, though, isn't it? It's a prize.
Yeah, yes. And Colin hasn't really won, in case anyone's listening.
No, because I'm not allowed to.
Exactly.
Terms and conditions apply. That's definitely one of them.
To report us to Ofcom or something like that.
No, but back to Crewe, obviously,
Back to Crewe.
who weren't in the top flight. But a big team with big history, and have only won one league game this season so far.
Yeah, their statistics make fairly poor reading, to be honest. And they lost as well to Sunderland on Tuesday night 4-0. And yeah, they are definitely struggling. Currently 23rd in the division, having played 13, as you say, only won 1. They've drawn 5 and lost 7, scoring 9 goals and conceding 22. So definitely you would feel that actually that is a game. Again, if we're serious about this getting promoted lark, that really we should be winning. Before the Sunderland defeat, they lost 3-0 at home to Fleetwood, who are obviously also down at the bottom as well. And then previously to that, one of the games that they managed to win was in the Leyland DAF checker trade thingy, where they beat Wigan 2-0.
And I also put this to you because I think you've got this in front of you as well. But you might have heard Gareth say a little earlier on that quite a period coming up of sort of games quite sort of relentless as well, with another international break coming up next month too, of course. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if that's called off. And if you do a search at the moment, I think it's for Portsmouth, because that's who we play in the international break. And there's various Portsmouth websites suggesting that the game might be called off, and they've moved their Leyland DAF fixture so that possibly they would have a complete 2-week break, and they clearly obviously don't know that we possibly might not actually say, oh yeah, we'll have the international break. We got our game in hand,
we didn't do it last time. Sorry, haven't we got
our game in hand coming up in November?
Yes, we have, against Ipswich.
Yes,
Ipswich at home. We've also, of course, we should mention as well that we've got drawn against Hartlepool United away in the FA Cup. We believe that game will be played on the Saturday at 3 o'clock. We tried to get confirmation of that from the club, but we didn't actually hear back, because I didn't actually send the text until about 6 o'clock. But yes, we believe that because today the FA Cup games, the televised games, were all decided and we weren't mentioned. So I'm guessing that we'll be away to Hartlepool on November the 6th with a 3 o'clock kickoff.
First round of the FA Cup, that's something to look at.
Always exciting, isn't it?
Especially being drawn against a non-league team.
So I did watch the draw on ITV on Sunday just after 1 o'clock, and it's great for the first round draw as well, because it goes on forever with like 80 balls to draw out, and it was quite exciting. And personally, I was quite pleased about Hartlepool away, because I haven't been there, so I am planning on going up there.
Not many people can say that, can they? They were quite pleased about Hartlepool away.
Yes, you'll never say that. Hartlepool away.
Oh, that's another nice seaside destination for you.
Yeah, the good fish and chips, I believe.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Not as good as Grimsby, but still not bad.
Yeah, more food news next week. Also next week on the show, I'm very excited to report that we'll be chatting to former manager John Gorman.
That's really impressive.
Very much looking forward to that. You might have seen it on social media. He'll be attending the game on Saturday at Adams Park and having VIP treatment as well. That sounds like some sort of facial or something, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
He's
It's
having
the new Wycombe Wanderers spa. You can come and have VIP treatments.
available in the club shop.
Indeed. The one thing that you didn't ask Jason McCarthy that I really think you should is what did they do while they were in Yorkshire?
I should have asked that, shouldn't I?
Did they go to Betty's tea rooms?
Yes, I hope so.
And and have a scone or scone, depending on whereabouts you come from. What did they do? Did Gareth get them running up and down the dales, as it were, or the moors? And I very much like the fact as well that he mentioned about how much he likes being up north, and he mentioned the hills and the valleys and whatever. And you think it's very appropriate, actually, that he's Wycombe Wanderers manager. That's why he's our manager, because actually the geography of High Wycombe reminds him of being back home in Lancashire.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much. Do join us at the same time next week for the Wycombe Wanderers Show here at Wycombe Sound.
Up the Wick.